Alright, here we are. Today we're going to be opening a booster box of Zendikar Rising, and we're going to be putting all of these singles into inventory here at the Game Haven. You can buy them if you would like at the Game Haven or thegamehaven.com. So let's get this open and start cracking some packs. First things first, we have our box topper, which we will open last because that's what you guys really want to know. Start off with some packs here. Go start cracking them. Alright, got a Core Warrior token. This cool looking full art island. They look a lot better than I saw them on the internet. That's still in frame. It's still in. Her rare is Rolling Vortex. So this card is interesting. The ability to stop your opponents from gaining life is very good, and just dealing consistent damage is very, very strong. And with our uncommons, we have Balaget Recovery. It's one of those modal cards, so you can be Balaget Sanctuary on the back. You get to pick. It's a pretty good card. It's okay. Rock Slide Sorcerer. This card's probably too expensive to see constructed play, but it's definitely making it in my cube. This is a cute mouse. That's all I really have to say about this one. It's adorable, though. Let's look at some of our commons here. Zdrana's Silencer. It uses the party mechanic. Probably won't be any more than a draft card, but, it's always interesting to see cards that use that. This draws a card. That's all it does. It might draw 2 cards. This card is probably not the best, but getting a land in limited will be really strong. And then we have Mesa Lynx, a little bit more draft filler. This card is probably a secret draft all-star. Always being able to pump all your guys, even if your deck is kind of bad. If you drafted a bunch of just like weedy creatures, can be pretty good. This guy puts counters on stuff when he's a warrior. Might come in handy. Volcanic Hammer is back, and it has Kicker, and that's pretty good. This card might see some constructed play. Being able to go to the face is really strong, and if you have 5 additional mana in some limited format, then dealing 5 will be really good. Into the Royal seems like a card that saw play once before and will definitely see play again. So, just a strong common. This card's probably relatively weak, but if you need a 5-drop in your draft deck, you'll probably play it. This card, it's 5 for 5. It's just kind of strong there, but that's about it. So we'll set these guys aside. We'll open our next pack. Oh, this is one of the checklist cards. It's a magic pack, so you can put it in your sleeves or draft with it, so you don't have to use the flip cards that way. That's actually pretty cool. We'll put this with the tokens. Another very, very cool full art land. This one is gorgeous. I really like it. Foil Glacial Grasp. I mean, it's going to be a good limited card. Generally, cards that tap a creature, don't let it untap. And this one gets the bonus of milling 2 cards and drawing a card at 3 mana. That's probably pretty strong in limited. Swarm Shambler. Well, I mean, if you're playing a +1/+1 counter deck, this card's going to be very good. Creating extra dudes when they try to kill your stuff is quite strong. So, if there's a Conclave Mentor deck in Standard, you might, pick this guy up. He's probably going to be pretty good in that. This card is one of my favorite of the module cards. Being a protection spell that also allows you to hit your lands on curve is very, very strong. And, you know, it's just going to be a very strong limited card. And I'm definitely going to give it a shot in Constructed just to see if I can make it work. This is my favorite card in the whole set. Yes, it's an uncommon. But 6 mana to draw 3 cards is something that we play in Limited all the time. So it's okay. 5 mana to draw 3 cards is the Constructed Rare level that they will put things at. Example, the 1/5 mana instant draw 3 from Ravnica Allegiance. And then, if you have 3 guys, this becomes 3 mana draw 3, gain 3. And so if your deck has a decent mixture of those kind of spells, for party it's really good. If you have a full party, 2 mana draw 3 is just insane. Like, 2 of them is 4 mana, which is way better than the rate at drawing 3 cards. This is literally my favorite card. This card's good. It's a, first time in turn Ajani's Pridemate. If you're going to play a Cleric deck, it's probably pretty strong. It's a more balanced Ajani's Pridemate. Doesn't get out of hand so fast. And it's definitely going to make its way into my cube, because life gain is one of the themes, and there's a bunch of clerics already. This card gives all your guys with counters menace and has 2 counters on it. So, that's pretty good. Probably also going to make my cube because I'm switching a few themes. Feed the Swarm. I mean, this one's actually really cool because, it's black enchantment removal. And that's not a thing that has happened before. We got one in Theros that makes them sack 1, but this one, you just pick the enchantment and kill it. You lose life for it, but when your option is just never killing the enchantment, that's not that great. This guy is definitely a filler. Lifelink, if you have a cleric, has vigilance, it's okay. You're going to play it in Limited. I don't really see it doing too much outside of there. Death Touch Elf Rogues, once again, party is a mechanic. Death Touchers are good in Limited. If you want to try some cool Death Touch stuff, here's an extra guy. 3/2 flyer. When it dies, you draw a card. If you have another wizard, it's okay. It's average rate for a 3/2 flyer, but nothing to write home about. This guy is a 2/3 vigilance. Gets bigger when you play lands. I mean, it's a landfall card. You're probably going to play it if you need to, but not too much more. This card is very good. It's very good at removing very specialty lands and like non-basics. And if they have their basics, they can get them because it's like a Ghost Quarter. But the secret to this card is that you can use it on your own lands in Limited to create more landfall triggers. Because it's not your opponent's, it's anything you want. And this guy is like just a really bad mana war. I'm not exactly sure why they felt the need to print Baron at a rare last set and then basically make his same effect be cost a kicker ability. But yeah, this card's pretty bad. I might be proven wrong with some more like drafting and stuff, but I just don't see this card being very good in literally anything. Oh, more checklist cards. More. Jeez. Oh, man, I didn't look close enough at these lands. They are real good. Skyclave Relic. It's a mana rock that if you kick it, you get 2 more copies of it. I don't know how good this card is, but it's definitely it feels definitely like a commander card. And I mean, that's fine. I think it'll be cool. We'll see how it works out. Spikefield Hazard. This is another very good modal card. Because sometimes, and you're playing a long matchup, 1 damage doesn't matter. But boy, is it good to have an extra land to keep hitting your high stuff. And sometimes, you don't need a lot of mana because you're playing like an aggro mirror. And then killing their dude and making sure he gets exiled is really good. So, I think that this card's also very good. This card costs too much mana and is a sorcery, so I mean, it's probably not great. But we'll play it in limited. If you have enough party to support it, being able to look at 4 cards and put 3 in your hand and the rest on the bottom is really, really strong. If you're playing a mill deck and you want a big beater that can only attack or block when they have cards in their graveyard, this card's pretty good. Other than that, he's also, you know, a millstone, so that's probably okay. Not 100% sure on this card if you'll see any play, but it's an interesting card, so we'll see. This guy is really good and limited. Put him in all your decks. He's a 2/1 artifact that is every creature type that cares about party. Play him. He also fixes your mana. This card is good. Someone might say differently. I might be wrong, but I think it's good. This guy's a really good good card for the rogue deck in limited. Having a flash flyer for that it's a 2/1 is already good for 3 mana, and then the added bonus of just making your opponent mill 2 cards when all the rogues want them to have 8 cards in their graveyard is a pretty strong reason to put this card in your deck. Hardened Electromancer. If you ever get a full party, this pays for itself and then adds a red mana to your mana pool. So it can let you, if you have a full party, it can let you transfer red and 3 green, red and 2 green into 4 red. So there is a potential that someone could abuse this card. I don't know how good it actually would be. It just seems like a lot more work than it's worth. But it is a 3/2 that sometimes is free, so or gives you at least like a 2 mana refund. So it's probably okay. This card's a really good finisher in limited. It's also averagely a 4/3. If you're going to play it, play it. If you're not, if you've had better 4s, don't worry. It's really okay. Pressure Point. It taps a dude and draws a card. It's okay. It gives +3/+3, you kick it, it's bigger. I mean, you're probably not going to play this. But in limited you might, because combat tricks are king. Zulaport Duelist. Let's talk about combat tricks that are really good. This guy has flash. This guy makes your opponent's guy smaller, and he mills your opponent to back up the rogue strategy. He's very good. It's a combat trick that might actually win you the game sometimes if you have enough mill cards. So he's pretty good and limited. The showcase cards are very pretty. So this is Kazandu Nectar Pot. It says whenever a land comes into play, you gain a life. But they look really good. Like this is a nice border. It looks a lot better than I thought it did. So being able to physically look at these is very cool. This little goblin wizard lets you discard cards and draw a card. He's probably all right. I don't know how good he is. I'd probably try him. Why not? And we talked about Glacial Grass. To the next pack. We have ourselves a new copy token that has Jace on it, which very appropriate for the Jace Mythic. And it looks really cool. Another cool swamp. Then we have Soul Shatter. Card's pretty good. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest converted mana cost among creatures and planeswalkers they control, 3 mana instant. It means that, you know, if they're playing a big creature deck, they can't try to get around you by, you know, playing a bunch of small, like, weenie creatures. And if they have a big dude they've ramped into, this will kill it. So, it's probably pretty good. This card's okay, but it's a modal card. Being able to take cards out of your opponent's hand's good, but at 3 mana, it starts to wear off. As long as you're playing a full warrior deck, this could make something unable to block. It's probably okay. If you have a few warriors, it's probably really good and limited, but not too great. 2 mana, kill a thing that costs 2 or less. A creature or a planeswalker. If it's kicked, it's anything. So at 4 mana, it kills anything at sorcery speed, and at 1 mana, gets to be an early removal spell. And that's pretty strong. Definitely limited playable, possibly very constructed playable. Card kills Wrenn and 6 in Modern. can't and like Tybalt, but this means that we might get more 2-cost Planeswalkers. I mean, I guess some of the flip walkers could do that too, so it's an interesting card. They discard 2, they mill a card, they lose a life, and you gain a life. Man, Mind Rot, eat your heart out. This card is very strong. It's 1 mana, gives flying to a guy, equip for 2 later. Pretty strong. So the 3/1. It's just a 3/1. Put a counter on a guy, gain 2 life, play an additional land. It's okay. I wouldn't say that it's fantastic, but it's alright. Bone Splitter that equips for free and costs way too much to equip. Limited, not too much else. Soul Warden for you for 3 mana. It's just okay. 3/3 flying flush. It's alright. 1/3 pay 3 gets bigger. It's okay again. And you'll play it because it's a warrior. This is the Arrest / Pacifism variant in the set. I think it's probably pretty good. It's Planeswalkers, even though I think only a couple of them can really take over the game. Only like one. I think Nis is very good, and Nahiri's okay, and Jace is alright, but I don't know if I'd ever want to Nahiri's binding it. But it's good as a pacifism. This is a 3/2 that if you play a land, it can attack. It's just alright. On to our next pack. Another awesome land. Let's move on to this one. Hogger Mauling. They control no basics. You can kill a creature for 3. It's a murder. But it can also be a land. So, you know, that's pretty good. This guy says you mill when he attacks. If they have 8 cards, you can sack up, draw a card. He's a 1/1 flyer. He's just a good card. He's probably going to see a decent amount of play in some, like, you know, rogue decks and some weird decks. I don't know how good any of those decks will be in a competitive constructed environment, but, you know, for your local F&M, want to mill some people, you're probably going to be playing this card. This card, you know, lets you kill things when you cast wizards and instants and sorceries, so it's alright. It's probably pretty good. Probably won't see too much. Once again, an awesome border for this guy. He has haste. Can't be blocked by small dudes, my 2 or less. And, you know, whenever you play land, he gets +2/+2. It's a pretty good card. There's like a budget landfall deck. This guy will definitely be a part of it. And so, you know, we'll see. Subtle Strike, very good combat trick. Putting a counter on a guy and giving -1/-1 can swing some really crazy combats, considering you don't have to target. And you can target it in 2 different kind of fights and just win some. Gives +0/+3, and if you kick it, it gets hexproof. It's pretty strong. Dive down for 2 mana. Just the first part of dive down for 1. It's okay. This is a vanilla 4/3 for 4, so it's okay. Jiraga Visionary. 3/2 draw card for 4. Pretty good. Not too bad. This is a 2/3 flyer with Defender. If you kick it, it can attack. Oh, that's not true. If it has counters. If you kick it, it gets counters, and as long as it has a counter, it can attack. I read that wrong. That card's a lot better than I gave it credit for. It's a combat trick that allows you to equip an equipment to a warrior. It's alright. Not fantastic, but pretty good. Sizzling Barrage. Target creature that blocked this turn takes 4. I mean, you can do it before combat damage is dealt, so that's really strong. Or after to finish off a guy that blocked this turn. But, you know, either way, pretty good removal spell. Rabid Bite. This is not a new card. Deal damage. Target creature you control deals damage to another creature. And that's it. It's pretty good. This is a blue cleric, which is kind of weird. But it exists, and if it blocks a creature, it doesn't untap next turn. And then either destroy an artifact or deal 2 damage. Pretty good. Another modal card. Another sick island. Man, these are good. A foil Crawling Barrens. This card's actually probably pretty good. I'm not sure how much play it'll see, but it could see a lot. Being able to pay 4 mana to put 2 counters on something on the land, and then if you want it becomes a creature, not mandatory, means that you don't have to open yourself up to removal until you have an answer for it. But if your opponent's doing nothing, you can always continuously make your manland bigger, which is very powerful. Maul of the Skyclaves. I like this card. Not to say that it is a fantastic card, but it is a fantastic limited card. Whereas you get this free flying +2/+2 first strike guy for 3 mana because it equips automatically. But it's like all the equipment in this set, its equip cost is significantly higher than I think it needs to be, and also normally requires colors, which is fine for a card like this because I don't think you want it to be splash white, put this on my best creature in every game and limited instead of having to pay the cost for it. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think it makes it a little bit less playable in Constructed. But if you want to try out a cool Nahiri deck, this might be a pretty good card for it. Getting 3/3 flyers, a 3/3 flyer every turn, first strike with Nahiri is pretty good. Straighten those out. You'll play this card in limited. It shrinks all your opponent's guys for 2 mana, which is pretty good. And then, you know, sometimes it's a land when you need it to be, if I could flip it over. So, it's alright. This is Fleshbag Marauder, but a cleric. And can make some sack Planeswalkers. This card's real good. It's just good. Vine Gecko. If there's a deck that cares about kicker, you'll probably play this card. Other than that, I mean, it makes the first spell you play with kicker cost less. You get to counter when you kick stuff. Seems like a limited card. This is a rogue that cares if your opponent has 8 cards in their graveyard. It has Menace and gets 1 bigger and becomes a 4/4 with Menace. It's okay. Not the best, but okay. Synchronized Spellcraft. Deal 4 damage to target creature and X damage to that creature's controller, where X is the number of creatures in the party. So, it's a good removal spell of 5 mana for 4 damage to a creature, and then if you have any party members, you just, get bonus damage to their face. It's probably a very limited-oriented card and not constructed, but, you never know. Adventure awaits. On the top 5 cards of your deck, you reveal a creature card from among them, put in your hand, put the rest at the bottom. If you didn't put a card in your hand, draw a card. I mean, that's a pretty good bonus to not being able to hit lands off of it, is that if you hit all your lands or spells, you get a card draw. So, card's okay. I wouldn't say it's fantastic. It's just alright. This makes something indestructible until undeterred. It's probably pretty good in some situations in limited. Costs probably 1 too much to equip this. Like we've had Short Sword before. It costs 1 and 1 to equip. The free equip I don't think is worth the extra 2 mana to equip every other time. It's just it's going to be good in limited, but not really too much else. This is a 3/3. No, for real, that's it. It's just 3/3. We talked about this guy. He's awful, and you don't ever want to kick him. Tormenting Voices back. Discard a card. Draw 2 cards, 2 mana. Thrill of Possibility is better and still legal, but if you need both, for some reason, this card's at least legal again. And then if you kick a thing, this becomes a 5/5. Arena Code. Oh, man. Planes, finally. I like this one. It's pretty good. Second favorite card, Linvala Shield of Seagate. Really like this card. Even if you don't have the full party text, which at the beginning of your combat, you make something unable to attack or block until your next turn, and it can't use its abilities. Turns out, being able to sack your creature to make all your things hexproof or indestructible is really strong, especially when it's on a 3/3 flying creature. She's also a wizard to count for the party portion. I think she's very cool. It's a very good card. This puts a counter on a guy or is a land. It's probably good enough to make your deck, especially if you have any landfall triggers. Whenever you gain life for the first turn, make a cat. Everyone likes cats. It also pays 3 mana to make a cleric gain lifelink. It's okay. But no one doesn't like cats, so make some cats. Wind Rider Wizard. Whenever you cast Instant Sorcerer Wizard, you can draw a card, discard a card. It's okay. It's 3 mana, 2/2 flyer. It's not bad. It's a pretty good card. It's a raised dead that if you kick it, you get 2 creatures. This is not new. Destroy creature power 3 or less. It's negate. We don't have to talk about it. It's printed like every set. It's 2/2 flyer that lets you put a land that you had in play back into your hand for more landfall triggers. It's probably pretty good if you have any landfall stuff and you're playing white. Which I can't think of very many landfall things in this set that are white that I care enough, but like I guess the mouse and the cat, those are pretty good. Card under it. This lets you bounce 2 lands to your hand if you want. The 6/5 trample for 6. This is Disenchant. It's Naturalize, but white. Also, it came first, but that's less important. It's a 2/2. It's a bear that is a beast. That if you kick it, it gets counters. It gets 2 more counters. So for 3 mana, it's a 4/4, and then it says each creature you have with a counter has trample. There are a lot of these kind of effects to give all your guys trample that have counters, but this one's pretty good. It's another 2 mana one. We've talked about this guy, and we've talked about that guy. And this is Deadly Alliance. 5 mana, costs 1 less for each card in your party. Show target creature or planeswalker. I mean, 5 mana is a pretty average thing and limited for removal spells, so this is already good. And randomly costing less because you have like a wizard and a cleric in place, probably going to make you feel better about it. So, it's a pretty good card. Cat token. It's pretty good. Okay, yeah, that mountain's sick. It's very good. Thieving Skydiver. You kick it, X can't be 0, and you kick it, and then you can steal an artifact that costs that much. If it's an equipment, you equip it to this. People are talking about using this in Pioneer to steal your own Colossal Hammer and give him +10/+10 on turn 3. I mean, that's neat. It'll probably work. It's very cool, so we'll see. I've thought about stealing people's Soul Rings and Commander with it for 1 mana. It's pretty good. But, you know, it's an okay card. It's a 2/1 flyer. But, you know, most of its uses are kind of narrow. I like this card too, as far as modal cards. It's a removal spell that deals damage if you have creatures in play. And if not, it is land, so it's pretty good. Thwart the Grave. It costs 1 less for each party member you control, and then you can return up to 1 cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you can reanimate a bunch of stuff, turn target creature card, and up to 1. So you get to pick one, and then you can return a bunch of other ones. That's pretty good. If you have party member stuff and you want to play this card, it's probably pretty strong if you just get collateral creatures for it. This is a griffin, the one that doesn't fly, but it does fly when you play a land, and it gets counter. I think the picture is ridiculous, and I love it. This is just another version of a different card that you pay 4 mana. Look at the top 4 cards, put 2 in your hand, put the rest at the bottom. I think the other one puts them in your graveyard and you lose 2 life. Costs 1 less for each card in your party. It's a 7/5. It's for 7, so generally it'll cost about 3 if you're playing a party deck. 2 mana, make a guy indestructible, and then draw a card if it has counter on it. I mean, it's okay. It's a good combat trick. Making anything indestructible for in limited is very good. Constructed playable, wouldn't say so. If you kick this 2/1 for 6 mana, you get to pick up an instant or sorcery card. And as expensive as that is, this kicker card of blue cards is worth it. I don't think 6 mana to bounce a creature is worth it. 6 mana to pick up probably a removal spell in limited. Very good. This is Smite the Monstrous. It's been in lots of sets. It kills a 4 power guy or greater. If it's bigger, it also dies. 4 mana, make a land into a 4/4 that's haste. If the land dies, put it back in your hand. I don't know how good this card is. It seems alright. It seems like they were looking for anything to make a Nisa card out of, and so they did. Once again, this is cool. I like this this border, and I like this art on a Coob Hellhound. I don't think it's very good in Standard, and I could be proven definitely wrong. But you know, it's a Step Links, but you know, red, and the alternate art on it is very cool. We did the Cleric. You gain 2 life for each creature in your party. And it's a Cleric, so it automatically gains 2 life. You might play it in limited, you might not. It's okay. We've done this way. More lands. Relic Axe. This is an uncommon we haven't done yet. Gives +1/+1. If it's a warrior, it gets +2/+1. Equips for free when it comes into play. Costs 2 mana. It's a pretty cool foil, though. That looks really cool. It's okay. I don't think it's going to be some all-star card. It's kind of a mediocre equipment. But there's an equipment theme in limited, so it's probably okay. Alright, when he does combat damage to a player, not when he attacks. So if they let him through, he had to pick up a land. Could be good if there's a very aggressive red landfall deck, but I'm not 100% that this guy's going to be too great, because if you hit him on turn 1 with the haste portion of him, you don't do anything. You just go back down to 1 land again. People might play this in limited. 6 mana, 4/5 trample. That can be a land. Oh, another Relic Axe. It's a Warrior Lord. It's okay. He bumps all your warriors. It's a 2/3 that you can pay 5 mana to make it +1/+0 and unblockable. It can cost you 1 blue if you have a full party. This guy is a 1/1 flying lifelink that if you kick it, it gets 2 counters, so 6 mana for a 3/3 flying lifelink. It's alright. Probably going to play it in limited. It's probably pretty good. This can deal up to 8 damage if you have a full party to an attacking or blocking creature. 3 mana, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. It's alright. It's pretty good. We talked about this guy. And this guy. Scry, when the X is the number of creatures in your party, it's 3/3. It's probably going to be filler. It's a hill. It's just a good card. It's fine. If you need to smooth out your curve in limited, you'll probably play this. He gains 3 life again. It's okay. Whenever land enters the battlefield, deal damage to each opponent. 3/4. I mean, seems pretty good. Probably alright. Not too bad. We'll see. From this point on, I'm probably going to talk less about any of the commons, just because they're commons, and they're going to repeat a whole bunch here real soon. So we'll do this. Random arena thing. Cool Island. And our rare is our first mythic. Taziri, Beacon of Unity. I don't know if this card is good, or if this card is playable, but it looks good. It can be a 1 mana 4/6. So like, I can't imagine that you can't find a deck that you don't want a 1 mana 4/6. I might even give this card a shot in the standard deck I'm planning on building. Being able to pay the 2 in one of the other colors to look at the top 6 of your deck and get up to a rogue, a wizard, or warrior. I mean, or an ally card. The ally card part is very important because, I mean, the ally commander decks, she's already the commander of that, the other one. So this card is probably pretty good, but I'm not 100% on that. You got to be playing a party deck to take advantage of it, and we'll see how good those can come together. This is a rogue that has menace and gets bigger if they have 8 cards in the graveyard. It's also a land. I don't know how I feel about this card. Probably really good in limited. It feels like it's really good in limited, but not too much else. There's a 1/4 that you can tap a rogue to give it Death Touch, which is just really strong. If it hits them, they mill 2, mill 3. So probably pretty good. It's 3 mana 1/4. That if you, for example, if you block with it, you can tap itself to give it Death Touch, and then kill the guy. This you kick it and it lures something, so it'll probably win a couple games in limited, but no constructed playability. This goblin makes things unblockable for 2 mana, which is worse than all the other ones that are goblins that do the same effect for free, but cost 1 more mana up here. So, I mean, it's a rogue, so you'll probably play it if you want party. If you have a rogue, this has Death Touch. It's a bear. That's all it does. Whenever you gain life, an opponent loses 1 life. There's probably an infinite combo with Exquisite Blood with this 3 mana and thing. But I'm not 100% because I don't like that combo. But I'm pretty sure it works that way. This is a 1/4 reach. That's all it is. And then we've done this. We've talked about this guy. This is your variant on Capture Sphere. Costs 1 mana, and then their guy doesn't untap. But if you want the full Capture Sphere part where you want him to tap their dude, you had to pay the kicker cost. That's really all it is. It's just, I mean, it's slightly better than Capture Sphere because it costs 1 mana. They've already attacked. We talked about this guy, who is pick up a land, deal 2. Landfall, put a counter on this guy. He's a trample 2/1 for 3. Kind of subpar, but you know, if they don't kill him, he's going to get out of hand very quickly. And then Glacial Grass. This is the Illusion token. It's a Star. Pretty sure this is for one of the rares, the core that exiles a permanent, non-land permanent. Cool Mountain. Foil Plains. That one's pretty good. We'll put this here. Needle Verge Pathway. This is the new one of the new dual lands. You get to pick what side you're going to play it on. So if you want to play a white card on turn 1, you can play it there. And if you want to play a red card on turn 1, you can play it on this side. I really like these lands because they don't allow you to fix your mana for the course of the game with an untapped land. Where if this is like a red-white untapped land, you could cast your red spell on turn 1 into your double white spell on turn 2. I think this is a very good way of getting around that style of play. But allowing aggro decks to still be able to play multiple colored 1-drops and control decks to be able to play multicolored cards in general and make sure they can fix their mana. This is a limited only card, so won't talk very much about it. It can give up to 2 creatures +4/+4, but it's based on party. This card is 2 mana, deal 1 to each creature. If you kick it for 1 more red, it deals 2 to each creature. This card will probably see a decent amount of play, but we'll have to see how many one if it's just going to be 3 mana deal 2 all the time, or if having it deal 1 will be relevant. This card under here. Soaring Thought Thief. It's a 1/3 flash flying. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, it pumps all your rogues +1/+0. And whenever 1 or more rogues you control attacks, each opponent mills 2 cards. This is the card that makes people want to play rogues in Standard, and I'm here for it. It's a really neat, uncommon, and neat build around me card. It counters a creature or planeswalker unless someone plays 2. If they have 8 cards in their graveyard, you get to instead you just counter that spell, and then they pay 2, and then they don't get the option to pay 2. It just counters it, and then you scry 2. Death Touch Rogue, play more lands, kills big power 4 guys, destroys artifacts and enchantments, and is just a filler guy. It's a pump spell that scries 1. It's pretty good. This is the card we saw earlier, but in its normal frame, that it has landfall, gain a life. And this card is your average 3/2 that might draw you a card. This, land. Archpriest of Iona. Its power is equal to the number of creature cards in your party, so it can be up to a 4/2. If you have a full party, it can grant +1/+1 and flying to a creature. So that's pretty good. It's a 1-drop, so it's always a 1/2. Normally and generally will be at least a 2/2. So it's just a strong card even if you're not playing a full party mechanic kind of deck. This makes a thing fight a thing for 3 mana. It's also a land. This is a Banishing Light, but it costs 1 less for each card in your party. I don't think this is better than Banishing Light. I think you'd rather just consistently pay 3 because paying 5 seems really bad for you. But I guess if you're full on in a party deck, you could probably try it. This guy says tap an untapped rogue. He can't be blocked. If he deals damage to a player, draw a card. 4 mana, 2/3, draw a card. If you tap a rogue, pretty good. And so far, we have talked about all these. This guy says choose a creature control, put a counter on it for each creature in your party. I mean, it's okay. It's 1 mana. This is a 3/3. You have a creature +1/+1 for each creature in your party. Blank guy. This guy. This guy's a 4/3 that gets +2/+2 whenever you play a land. But the border looks sweet. Scry 2, draw a card, 2 mana. I'm not sure how good this card is. It could be good. Could be bad. Preordain's good, but this is a bad Preordain because it costs 2 mana. I don't know. Maybe people will play it. Maybe people won't. Not 100% on that. And we've seen that. Okay. We're a third of the way through our box. And now I'm going to start skipping all the commons entirely. Modal's checklist card. Another cool island. Inscription of Insight. It's 4 mana. Choose one. If you kick, you can choose any number. Return 2 creatures to their hand. The kicker is 4 mana, so it would be 8. Return up to 2 target creatures to their hand. Target player creates an XX illusion where X is the number of cards in their hand. And then scry 2, draw 2 cards. This card's pretty good. You're normally going to target yourself with it for the illusion part, but it's okay. It's nothing to write home about. It costs probably a little too much to be good, but it's pretty good. 1 mana. Choose target creature, you lose 2 life until end of turn. If it dies, you get to put it back into play. It can also be a land. That's okay. I'm not sure what you're going to use that for, but it could be alright. So 1/1 that says if it's equipped, it has haste. And then when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. If there's a sacrifice deck still, this guy's probably going to make his way somewhere there. And then this is a 2/3. That allows you to, it has vigilance, allows you to tap it and put a basic land card from your hand to the battlefield, or bounce a basic land and put it into your hand. And this card's probably pretty good. I don't know exactly what we're going to do with it, but it seems like a strong kind of card. At least in limited it's strong. We'll see about anything constructed worthy. That. Cool Forest. A foil of the Volcanic Hammer. This is the blue-black land, but this is the extended art version of it, which is one of our first extended arts. So you can get these in your booster packs at random, or you can have a higher chance at getting them if you buy collector's boosters. And boy, do they look good. Zendikar always has really good art, especially on its lands. Okay. So, I mean, this is the blue side. It's islands, floating islands, waterways. And then this one is very, very swampy, murky pathway. I think it looks really good. So, give it a shot. Try to get some of these. They're pretty good ones. Relic Vial, you pay 2 mana, sack a creature, draw a card. And if you have a cleric, whenever your creatures die, each opponent loses a life. Can you rinse up for each counter you put on a guy this turn? Make an insect. This might do something. I'm not sure exactly how good this is. This guy enters with a counter for each thing in your party. This is probably okay in limited because it's flying and vigilance, so it could be a 5/5 for 4 mana. And then more commons. We'll show this one though because it looks really cool. Landfall, gain indestructible until end of turn. But we will skip the rest. We got a cool plains here. And our second mythic, Nissa. She has landfall, put a loyalty counter on her, and then you +1, you untap a land, and you can have it become a 3/3 if you would like until end of turn, and has haste and menace. And then her -5 is you put a creature card, for a mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand, with 2+1/+1 counters on it. People speak very highly of this card. I think it's pretty good. I assume that it's going to be very good and like that there's going to be like a black-green reanimator style deck that ramps. So, and you know, just in general, being able to have a thing that just keeps gaining loyalty when you play lands is really strong. You know, look at the top 6, get an instant sorcery, put the rest at the bottom, and then it can also be a land. This is a kicker payoff card. If you kick it, you make a 2/2. Whenever you cast a spell that's kicked, you make a 2/2 flyer. So, it's interesting. This is a 3/3 for 3, kicker 2. If you kick it, you can return target card with a kicker from your graveyard to the battlefield, to your hand. And no more cool looking cards, so we'll skip those. That Island again, which is the same one. Another mythic, Seagate Restoration. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand +1. If you have no max hand size for the rest of the game, costs 7. But it can be a land. Unlike all the other modal cards, this card allows you to pay 3 life for it to be untapped instead, which makes even a card like this, which is okay, pretty good because it allows you to have this effect in your deck, but also give you the ability to play things on curve as well. This is an equipment that for each creature in your party, it gives +1/+1 menace, and it attaches automatically. So it's a red-black card. It's pretty good. This is New Harrow. Sack your land, search it, but it puts them into playing tapped, unlike Harrow. So be careful of that if you add these to your commander decks. 3/1 trample gets +2/+2 whenever you play a land. Probably pretty good and limited. It's a Cat Beast. I think there's an enchantment that makes this guy. Another land. Foil of the guy that gives menace. Oh, this card. This card makes this token. Whenever you play a land, you can either make a Cat Beast, or you can put a +1/+1 counter on all your creatures, and they get vigilance till end of turn. 4 mana enchantment. I like this card. This is a 2 mana mana dork that can also be a land when you don't want your mana dork to die. This card's actually probably really good, but I'm not 100% on that, but I think it's pretty cool. For each creature in your party when this card enters the battlefield, target opponent shows you that many cards, and then you select one and they discard it. It's pretty good. If you like have a wizard on one and this, you look at 2 and they discard one of them. This is basically a variant on Scroll Thief, but red. So it's 2/3. You exile the top card of your library and you can play that card this turn. So instead of drawing a card, you do that, but it's red. It's Goblin Rogue. Then more commons. All right. Cool looking forest. Null Priest of Oblivion. It's 2 mana, 2/1, menace lifelink. If you kick it for 4 mana, you can return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I think this card's probably pretty good if there's some things you want to reanimate. because 6 mana that can also be played in the mid game is pretty good, but it seems just okay as a card. This is a 1/3 that gains 2 life when you play it. It can also be a land. That might be valuable. We don't know. This is a 5/5 with Vigilance that costs 1 less for each card already in your party, and also counts as a Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard. So it'll always count as one of those when you need a party card. This is a bad one of the 3 mana guys from Core 20. Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Still going to make my cube because it cares about people gaining life. Alright, Insect Token. That's a new one. The mountain is very cool. All these are neat. And we got ourselves a Zagreus, Thief of Heartbeats. He costs 1 less for each card in your party. He has Flying, Death Touch, and Haste. Other creatures you control have Death Touch. He's a 4/4 flyer, and whenever he deals combat damage to a planeswalker, destroy it. Whenever creature you control. I think this card's very neat. If you can get a red and black deck that can... I think 6 is probably a little more than I want to pay for him, but that's okay. So even if you have a deck that can consistently produce to make this guy a 4-drop, I think that this card is actually relatively strong in those styles of decks. While I don't think that that'll be what he does at the highest level of competitive play, I think that this is not a bad card. This is an Act of Treason that costs 5, because it can also be a land. Whenever you kick a spell, scry 2, 4/4 flyer for 5. You're definitely going to play this card in limited. It's 4/4 flyer that has just an upside if you have any kicker cards, as long as you're playing blue. Paired Tactician. Whenever it and at least one other warrior attacks, you put a counter on it. It's 3/2. It's okay. Arena thing. Land again. We got a Scoot Swarm. 3 mana landfall card. And then this is in its cool border. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you create an insect. If you control 6 lands, create a copy of this guy. This guy seems like a lot of fun. 3 mana 1/1s don't normally see too much, constructed play, but I can see people putting this in there in some commander decks and having a great time getting to 6 lands very quickly and making a bunch of copies of them that make more copies of them that make more copies of them. So I like this card. I don't think it's super strong, but it seems like it would be incredibly obnoxious. This is a counterspell that can be a land when it's not good anymore. I love this card. Hedron Crab, eat your heart out. I know that you already milled everyone whenever I played a land, but we needed a second crab because he targeted, and this is Commander Crab. Because he mills everyone when I play land. He even mills an extra card on Hedron Crab. I don't know why this needed to be better, but it is. For each color you spend on this guy, he gets counter. It's a 5 mana 2/3. So if you spend 3 on it, it's a 5/6. I mean, it's probably okay in limited. More insect tokens. More basic lands. More of that card I told you you'll play unlimited because it's a 4/4 for 5. And another mythic, Seagate Stormcaller. It copies a card. When it comes to play, the next instant or sorcery spell that you play that costs 2 or less, you can copy it. And if you kick it for its 5 mana cost here, you get to do it twice. It's 2/1 for 2. People talk about this card kind of like a Snapcaster-esque variant, which I think is relatively appropriate because you're normally not Snapcastering anything that normally costs more than 2 anyway. But it doesn't have as much flexibility. Not to say that this card is bad. It's probably very good. Every time that I copy an opt is going to feel real strong. So Opt, Shocks, things of that nature. There's like a spells deck that could exist in Standard right now, and this card will probably be pretty good in it. It just seems like a strong card in general. We've already talked about this guy. Puts counter on, it's a land. It can be a land. Counter a spell unless they pay 1, a non-creature spell. And then they had to pay 1 more for each card in your party. I like this card a lot, because if you have 1, it's a spell pierce. If you have 1 creature of that type, if you have second member of your party, it's a mana leak for 1 mana on non-creature spells. It's probably pretty good. This is a 5/4 haste that costs 1 less for each card in your party. It's pretty okay. And we're not going to go over more commons, because I think we actually hit most of them. I think there's like only a couple we didn't, like this guy, who gets bigger whenever you attack and for each creature in your party. Well, I think we've hit pretty much all the commons. Alright. That modal card. Cool Mountain. The Ahiri's Lithoforming. Double red and X, sacrifice X lands. For each land you sack this way, draw a card. You can play X additional lands this turn. Lands you control enter the battlefield tapped this turn. This card's really good if you have like a very big landfall theme, or a way to abuse it, or get all your lands back, or play them from your graveyard, which is one of the mythics in the set. But you need something that does something when you do this, because otherwise you're just cycling lands through and you drew some cards, but unless you're going to play them off from your graveyard, it doesn't really do anything. This is an enabler card. It could be good. We'll have to see. This card's going to be pretty good. It's an overrun type effect that you can play in your limited deck that also allows you to continuously hit your land drops. Comes in play tapped, produces colorless, allows you to produce any color, to use abilities or cast cards that are part of the party mechanic, so clerics, rogues, warriors, wizards. It's probably okay. I don't think it's probably great, but it's alright. Could be very good, depending on how good playing a party style deck will be. This, when it comes to play, is 2 mana. 2 mana, you draw a card, and then the enchanted land loses all types and all abilities, and it has tap, add a color to your mana pool, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color. It's very good on utility lands that have an ability you really don't want them to have. It can cause some annoying issues where they have to pay life for certain colors, but it doesn't really cut anyone off anything. But like if there are like cards that have an ability you want to get rid of, this card's probably pretty good. And it replaces itself, so it's not too much of an opportunity cost. More cats. More basics. Valakut Exploration. It's 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, which is for landfall, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. The beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Valakut's Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard, and then it deals that much damage to each opponent. So if you can play multiple lands in a turn, you can do 2-3 extra damage a turn. This is pretty good. Let's move on to our non-foil rare. Throne of Makindi. It's a land, produces colorless. It's charge counters on it for 1 mana with this ability. You can remove them all to add 2 mana of any one color. Remove one of them, remove a charge counter. To add 2 mana of any one color, spend it only on kick spells. It's okay. Playing a kicker deck, probably pretty good. You want the extra mana. This guy says the 4/3 for 5. Whenever you cast an instant sorcerer wizard, he gains flying. He can also be a land. So this is an equipment that has landfall. It costs 1 green. It auto attaches when you play it, and then the creature gains landfall whenever land is battlefield. The equipped creature gets +2/+2. It's okay. Kicker gets 3 counters when one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature. If he's in your graveyard, you can put him on top of your deck. This is a new art for the mountain that I hadn't seen yet. It's a pretty good one. Korahome Chronicler. Whenever you cast a kick spell, draw a card and discard a card. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal a card with kicker and put them into your hand. And you put the rest on the bottom. It's pretty good. Once again, specifically for a deck that cares about you're trying to do kicker. Gazul's Fury, it's fling, but it costs 3 mana instead of 2. It can also be a land. This gives your equipped warriors double strike. That might be interesting. Thundering Sparkmage. 2/2. It deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, or X is the number of creatures in your party. If you're playing a party deck and you're playing red, especially in limited, this just kills a creature that basically has 3 or 4 power, 3 or 4 toughness, so it's pretty good. Copy token. More mountains. Shadow's Verdict. Exile all creature cards and planeswalker cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from the battlefield, and all creatures and planeswalker cards from graveyards that cost 3 or less. It's okay. Costs 5 mana. If you're playing against an aggro deck, it's probably pretty okay. I don't know how good this card is or will be. We'll have to wait and see how the metagame shapes up for that one. He's a 6 mana guy that can be a land. If you cast a kick spell, gain 2 life. He also produces mana. 4 mana, search your library for 2 basic mana cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. If you pay 4 mana and you kick it, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Cool Forest. Skyclave Apparition. I like this card a lot. I think it's one of the better cards in the set. What it allows you to do is you target a non-land token permanent you don't control, and then you exile it, as long as it costs 4 or less. But unlike other white cards, they don't get this back when they kill this guy. What they get is an illusion token that's equal to the converted mana cost of the card that you exiled. So, if you exile a 4 mana card, they get a 4/4. But they never get the card back, which is very important. Also, if you have the ability to bounce this or kill it in response to its own first ability, they'll get nothing, because nothing will be exiled by it yet. So, you know, that's a neat trick you could do with it. This is probably not even a good card, even though it can be a land, because it costs 6 mana to deal 4 damage to an opponent and they gain 4 life. Talked about this guy. Umar Mystic. This card's going to make my cube 2. Whenever you cast instant sorcerer or wizard spell, gets +2/+0. So it's a slightly weaker version of We Dragonauts, but adds wizard to it. So I think it gets a pass. Got ourselves a swamp and a foil Moonblast. Cragtown Pathway. It's the red-green one. So, red-green land, pretty good. Thundering Rebuke. 2 mana for 4 damage. Target creature, planeswalker. This card is a very good removal spell. Sorcery speed is annoying, but it's probably going to see some play. So 1 mana, 1/1 cleric that if you kick it for 3 mana, you tap 2 creatures when it enters the battlefield. But it's a 1/1 flyer for 1, which, you know, has a special place in my heart forever. Skyclave, Shadowcat, pay 2, sack it, put a counter on it. Whenever a creature controls the counter on it dies, draw a card. It's probably okay in limited. More basics. This is Lotus Cobra. It's one of the reprint cards in the set that people were excited was getting reprinted. And it says, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So, you know, if you have this in play, all your lands produce 2 mana the turn they enter the battlefield, which is really good. If it's a Fabled Passage, it produces 3 mana if you're real cute. We talked about this guy. We saw another version of this guy earlier, but this is his normal copy. And then Shadow Stinger. Scion of the Swarm. So, guy's going to my cube. Probably this version. Lithoform Engine. This is a card that people have talked to me about a lot recently for Commander. It is a card that is very powerful, being that it is 2 more mana than some other cards, but it is a Strionic Resonator. It copies spells you play for 3 mana if you would like, or it can copy a permanent spell. So if you cast a creature and it's on the stack, you can copy it, and you get a token of it. That's this part right here is super cool to me. I think that this will be a decently powerful card in Commander. If it makes its way into Constructed, that'll be really cool. But it seems like very much so of a Commander plant. This guy fights a thing. This thing deals damage. And this is the Lord. Cool. Forest. Foiled Dreadworm. It's kind of cool. Kazandu Mammoth. This card I think is really neat. It's a card that, it's just a normal landfall card. It gives +2/+2 to end a turn. But in the deck that it's in, the fact that it can be a land is very strong. So you have this card that is a good 3-drop for the landfall deck, because every time you play land it'll get bigger. But also it doubles as if you draw it on a turn later in the game and you have landfall creatures already in play, you can also get advantage out of it. And this is one of the modular cards that I think is actually really cool because extra copies of it fuel itself. We talked about this guy. It reanimates a thing and then reanimates up to 1 of every kind of card in a party. This is a lot better than I thought it was, but we talked about that. Pumps guys for a party, and then makes things block, so wins limited games. Oops. Drake token. Plains, Nimble Trap Finder. He can't be blocked if you add another Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard into the battlefield this turn. In the beginning of combat, if you have a full party, creatures you control gain whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card until end of turn. So you have a full party, all your guys draw cards. If you played a thing with the creature from the party mechanic, he's unblockable 2/1 for 2. He's alright, pretty good. We've talked about this Flip Rogue guy, so we'll skip over him. It's another equipment. It gets +1/+0. If they have 8 cards in their graveyard, the equipped creature gets +3/+0. Probably costs too much to equip for normal constructed play, but it is what it is. And we talk about this guy. It's Banishing Light, but possibly worse because you don't ever want to pay the 5. But if you're always going to consistently have party members in play, maybe it's a little better. This is a different plan. Oh, it's a 0/1 for the 1 legendary guy. An island that looks really cool. Draws a card. It's foil. Grakmaw Sky Clave Ravager. 3 mana. 0/0. Comes into play with 3 counters. Whenever another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, you put a counter on him. And then when he dies, you make a black-green Hydra where it's equal to the number of counters on him. I think this card's very cool, very interesting, could be potentially very powerful. Goodbye or Takedown. Cinderclasm. 3 mana and X, gain control of X. Target creature with converted mana costs X. It costs 3 less if it targets a creature whose controller has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. So, cat token. Forest. Valakut Awakening. 3 mana instant, put any number of cards in your hand on the bottom of your library, draw them any +1. It can also be a land. Adorable Mouse. Really awesome Rogue. Very cool Fleshbag Marauder. So, we got this. We got a swamp. And we have Yesarn, Implacable Earth. When you enter this battlefield, search your deck for a forest, a basic forest, and a basic plains card. And you reveal them, put them in your hand. And then the players can't play life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. This card is good. I'm not sure if it is specifically going to be good in Standard against certain decks, but I like this card a lot. This art's way cooler for the Griffin. A Goblin Construct token. It's made by like my third favorite card in the set. Mountain. Foil Inordinate Rage. Legion Angel. 4/3 flyer. When you play it, it comes into play. Select a card from outside the game named Legion Angel and put it in your hand. In constructed like Standard, this will be from your sideboard. I still think it's a neat card. It's 4/3 flyer for 4 that if you play some in your sideboard, if you don't want to overload the amount of mana cost of stuff you have in your deck, you just get some extra copies. So I think it's very cool. So we have this modular token. We have a very cool plains for our last pack. And we have a Magmatic Channeler. So as long as there are 4 or more instants or sorceries, he gets +3/+1. So he would be a 4/4. And then you can discard a card to exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them. You may play that card. I don't know how I feel about this card. I think it could be powerful. I think that I'm interested in finding out how powerful it is and seeing if it is a very playable card that I will enjoy playing with in maybe blue-red spells or something of the like. So I can't wait to find out. Once again, card's pretty good. Everyone loves cat tokens. And this is the kicker. So. Alright, so the moment you've actually been waiting for. Let's go ahead and find out what this expedition is. We'll go ahead and get this open, maybe. There we go. It's expedition. Let's find out what it is. It's a Morphic pool. So, each one of the boxes that you can buy, each one of a set booster or a draft booster, will come with one of these cool box toppers that you will get that's sealed inside the box with it. They range from the Battle Bond lands, like this Morphic pool we've opened, to the original Zendikar and original Onslaught fetches with new cool art and this cool border. So, if you enjoyed this box opening and you're looking to get some, go ahead and come on down and pre-order a box or pick up a box on release from us or your own local store. So, with that, we're all good to go. And I hope you have a great day.